Tonight, the city felt unusually quiet. Not silent, just softened. As if the evening itself had decided to move a little slower. A gentle autumn breeze wandered through the streets, carrying the scent of old leaves and distant rain. And at the corner of a narrow cobblestone street stood a small bookstore. Warm light glowed softly through its windows. It wasn't the kind of place people rushed into. It was the kind of place people discovered. And once they entered, they rarely forgot it. Inside that bookstore, everything felt different. The air smelled of paper and quiet memories. Shelves stretched from floor to ceiling, filled with stories waiting patiently to be opened. And behind the wooden counter stood Emma. She had worked there for almost 3 years now, long enough to know exactly which shelf held poetry that healed broken hearts, and which corner hid stories people returned to again and again. She loved this place, not because it was busy, but because it was calm, predictable, safe. Each evening followed the same gentle rhythm: a few visitors, a quiet conversation, the soft sound of turning pages, and then closing time. Emma liked routines. They made the world feel steady, understandable. Until one evening, something changed. The bell above the door rang, softly, almost shyly. Emma looked up. A man stepped inside. He paused just beyond the doorway, as if he wasn't sure whether he truly meant to enter. He removed his coat slowly, looked around carefully, not like someone searching for a book, but like someone searching for something else, something he hadn't yet named. Emma smiled politely, the kind of quiet smile she gave every visitor. "Good evening." His voice was warm, gentle. "Good evening." He stepped closer to the shelves, running his fingers lightly across the spines of books. Not choosing, just noticing. Emma watched him for a moment. There was something different about the way he moved. Most people entered quickly, browsed quickly, left quickly. But he moved slowly, as if time had loosened its hold on him. After a moment, he stopped near the poetry section, Emma's favorite corner. He picked up a small book, opened it carefully, read a single page, then another, and something about that moment felt unexpectedly important. As if the bookstore itself had been waiting for this exact evening, for this exact visitor. He finally looked up, and their eyes met. Just for a second. But sometimes, 1 second is enough. He smiled, not confidently, not nervously, just honestly. "I didn't know this place existed," he said quietly. Emma smiled again. "It surprises people. I think I needed to find it tonight." There was something about the way he said that made her pause. Not everyone walked into a bookstore as if it were a destination. Some people entered, as if it were an answer. "What kind of books do you like?" she asked gently. He thought for a moment. "Books that feel like conversations." Emma tilted her head slightly. "That's a beautiful answer." He smiled again. "And you?" She looked around the room slowly. "I like books that stay with you, even after you close them." For a moment, neither of them spoke, but the silence felt comfortable, like a space already shared. Outside, the wind moved softly through the street lamps. Inside, the bookstore seemed warmer than before, and without realizing it, Emma felt something shift, not loudly, not suddenly, just quietly, like the first page of a story beginning to turn. For a few quiet moments, they simply stood there, between shelves filled with stories that had once belonged to strangers, and somehow now felt like they were waiting for them. The man looked down again at the small poetry book in his hands. "I think I used to read more when I was younger," he said softly. Emma smiled gently. "People often return to books when they need something." He looked up. "And what do they usually need?" She thought for a moment. "Comfort." The word stayed between them, warm and honest. He nodded slowly. "That sounds right." Outside the window, a few golden leaves drifted across the street. The evening had grown quieter now, later than either of them realized. Still, neither of them moved toward the door. "What's your name?" he asked at last. "Emma." He repeated it slowly. "Emma," as if the name itself was something he wanted to remember. "I'm Daniel," she smiled. "It's nice to meet you, Daniel." And somehow, it truly was. Not like ordinary meetings, not like casual introductions that fade by morning. This felt different, like a page being folded carefully, so it could be found again later. Daniel looked around the bookstore once more. "It feels peaceful here." Emma followed his gaze. "It always has." "Did you always want to work here?" She shook her head gently. "No." He waited. "I found this place when I needed it most." He didn't ask what she meant. Sometimes, the kindest thing someone can do is wait. After a quiet moment, Emma stepped toward a nearby shelf. She picked up a small book. Its cover was simple, soft blue, almost the color of evening sky just before night arrives. "This one is my favorite," she said. Daniel accepted it carefully, as if it mattered more than it seemed. He opened it slowly, read a few lines, then stopped. "It feels familiar," he whispered. Emma smiled. "Some books do that." He looked at her again. "Maybe some people do too." The words surprised them both, but neither of them took them back. The bookstore felt warmer now, closer, as if the quiet space between the shelves had gently brought them nearer without asking permission. Emma walked toward the counter. Daniel followed slowly, not because he needed to, but because leaving suddenly felt impossible now. "I think I'll take this one," he said, holding the book carefully. Emma nodded. "A good choice." As she wrapped the book in soft paper, their hands touched briefly. Just for a moment, but long enough for something quiet and certain to begin. Outside, the street lamps glowed softly. The night had fully arrived now. Still, Daniel didn't hurry to leave. "Do you close soon?" he asked gently. "In a few minutes." He hesitated, then smiled. "Would you mind if I walked with you after?" Emma looked at him, not surprised, not uncertain, just thoughtful, as if the question had already been waiting somewhere inside her. "I wouldn't mind." They turned off the lights together, one by one, until only the soft glow from the window remained. The bookstore looked different now, quieter, sleepier, like a story closing its eyes for the night. Outside, the air felt cooler. The street was nearly empty. Only the sound of their footsteps remained. They walked slowly, without hurry, without needing to decide where they were going. Sometimes, the direction doesn't matter. Sometimes, walking beside someone is already enough. After a few minutes, they reached a small park. Leaves covered the path in soft golden patterns. A bench stood beneath an old tree. Daniel stopped there. "I come here sometimes," he said. Emma sat beside him. "It's beautiful." Above them, the first stars had begun to appear. Quiet, patient, endless. Daniel looked up at the sky, then at Emma. "I think tonight was meant to happen." Emma didn't answer immediately, because sometimes truth arrives slowly, like evening, like autumn, like love. But after a moment, she smiled. "I think so too." And there, beneath the quiet stars, between falling leaves and gentle silence, two strangers who had entered the same bookstore on the same evening began something neither of them had expected, but both of them had been waiting for all along. And somewhere behind them, on a quiet corner of a narrow street, a small bookstore stood peacefully, its shelves still filled with stories, but now holding one more.